as you guys know, my most popular video is my 5 ways to pass your pull away test video, And so one of the things that I mentioned in that video is that realistically, when you first start dating a woman in the beginning, you may not be the only person she's dating. Like if you meet her on a dating app, she might have gone out with you on a Tuesday and then have a date again on a Thursday and a Sunday. And that's perfectly fine because realistically, outside of a few messagey chats in the dating app, or if she met you at a party, like she knows you enough to go on a date, but doesn't know you enough to really have chosen you as the person she wants to go with, right? And so it's perfectly fine for both you and her to be dating other people until you start to narrow it down. Surprisingly, I have a lot of guys that comment on that video that don't seem to get that concept and think like that's the most horrible thing ever. So a guy commented, he said, so the summary of the video is act like dogs and have a string of multiple partners instead of one healthy, natural relationship, because that's what society has come to. So nowhere in that video did I say that. But what I have stressed before in some of my videos is that a lot of men have this idea that they're going to be the bad guy or jerk if they're dating a bunch of people at one time. Now, I don't know if people just can't distinguish between when I say date a bunch of women at one time versus being in a relationship. Because when I stress being in a relationship, I say be in a relationship with one person at a time. If you're a poly person, that's on you. But me, I say be in a relationship with one person at a time. But the relationship phase and the dating phase are 2 different phases. By the time you get to the relationship phase says, I've spent enough time with this person to vet them and realize I only want to see them, and therefore that is my person. But the dating phase is saying, I don't yet know who my person is, and there are 3 women right here that want to be my option. So I can't just look at them and say, I choose you. I need to have time with each of them to be able to see which one of these vibe with me. If we have similar goals in mind, if we have a similar outlook about life, if we like to have fun together, if she's talkative, if she's an extrovert, if she's whatever, right? And so sometimes you go on a date with a girl, and guess what? At the end of that date, you haven't made a decision. You had a good dinner, you talked a little bit, she said she promised a lot of things and said she's into a lot of things, but you haven't really taken her on a full-on date yet. You haven't really had deeper conversation with her, and so you don't know. And so sometimes it means having to go out with these 2 other women that also are saying similar things and then starting to narrow it down. So maybe you go on a second date and a third date with all 3 of them. Maybe you hook up with one. Maybe you hook up with all 3. Hey, I'm not a judgmental person. It could be all 3, or you could be a person that's like, I'm only going to hook up with somebody once I know I'm on the path towards like getting towards a relationship. All totally fine. But that does not make dating multiple people an immoral thing. Dating in and of itself is not a judgment call thing. Like there's no morality set to dating. Dating, if you're going to go by Bible rules, dating was not in the Bible. In fact, in the Bible, people had concubines. People had 7 or 8 wives. So they were technically marrying multiple people and were in multiple relationships. But that's not this. All this says that guys get this thing in their head of like they're thinking, I'm trying to preach like, you should just screw all the women and date them all and this and that. I'm like, dude, I typically tend to be a one person at a time in a relationship guy. Heck, these days, I typically date one woman at a time. But that's because I spent years practicing by dating multiple women at a time to where I can know in my head that if I lose this woman I'm with right now, I can find somebody else, which makes me less anxious, which makes me less apt to want to press my agenda onto any woman that I'm dating, right? But again, it's the dating phase. So yes, it is great if you are able to get one healthy, natural relationship. But odds are, if you go out on a date with this one girl, it's probably not going to happen. Now, hey, you could choose to say, I'm going to date one person at a time. Like I'm going to date this person until either she ghosts me or I ghost her, or whatever. Then if we go on 3 dates and it doesn't work out, then I'll find somebody else to date. Maybe dating multiple women at one time is too much money for you to do or too much energy or time. I'm not making any judgments about that, but I'm saying I also wouldn't want anybody to judge somebody who wants to date, again, i.e. date, i.e. find out about, i.e. research multiple women at a time as he narrows down his choice to that one woman, all right? So for you guys, and hey, again, a lot of things that I teach you guys about, I used to be this way. I used to be that guy's like, how could he date 2 or 3? Because I didn't get it. I didn't get that like, oh wait, the dating phase is different. So if this guy over here is saying he's dating multiple girls, these girls are all mad, he's dating other girls, but he has not claimed any of them. So he's technically in his right to do that. Okay, so that's totally fine. Like that's something that as a recovering nice guy, I had to understand. Also to the point, like I said, he said, basically since Like, I almost as if I'm preaching because it's okay for women to date multiple men that we should also do it like them. That's not equally good. You don't have to like any of this, but I'm telling you that women that are very attractive probably have options. And yeah, she's probably being taken out. Hey, while you're dating her, she might have an ex in the background that she hooks up with while she's getting to know you. Am I saying that's fair? I'm not saying that's necessarily fair. I am saying that that does happen, and that if you were to judge every single woman that's dating multiple guys that she gets to know you, you're probably going to lose out on a lot of women. And that may be how you operate. But I'm saying that is not a moral thing, and it is not a bad thing for you or her to be dating multiple people. But relationship, different story. But I just want to clarify that because there's nothing wrong with that. But so many guys are judgmental of that you could be losing out because, let's be honest, it hurts our ego to hear after what we consider to be a great date that she then went on a date with somebody else. But it's in her right. We have no titles. We probably just went on 1 or 2 dates and we spent like 3 hours together. I don't assume in 3 hours time she's going to know enough about me to want to say, yep, he's the guy. I assume 2 months in, I can do a good enough job where she's like, any other guys I was dating, oh my God, Harry's far and beyond better than these other guys out here. But that takes time. That takes her seeing consistency in me. That sees her be able to see me as not so anxious and not trying to just, be needy of her attention all the time. Like, that takes time to see. So yeah, she might start off with dating like 4 or 5 guys, but by the end, it's down to 1, i.e. me, because I outshine those other guys. So it's the same is true for women. Like, I don't assume just because I go on a good date with a woman that she's automatically a good candidate to date. I don't. Like, because I've lived with women, I've been around enough women to know that for the first 4 or 5 dates, like the other guy, he's on date 5, 4 or 5 dates, a woman can show the best version of herself. It's when you get into that other half of the 7 to 8 to 9 dates where in between dates, you might be hanging out or calling each other and she might slip up and say something wrong. Or she might tell you a story about an ex where she was the one that was abusive. Like, you just don't know. And so you need that time. And you thinking, yep, this one girl I'm dating, this one is going to be the one, without probably saying what else is out there, you're doing a detriment to yourself. Again, you don't have to listen to anything that I'm saying. I just want to give you a different perspective about what you're saying when you're saying, oh, dating multiple people is a bad thing, blah, blah. Like, how is she going to find out about women? Just say it. You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high